Today, a $57 million concrete shell sits on the Malibu coast. Designed by Tadao Ando, it is one of his few U.S. residences. The property is entirely gutted. Stripped of electricity, plumbing, and aesthetic finishes, the interior is completely open to the elements. This abandoned bunker belongs to Kanye West. The man who walked away from this ruin is the artist who dictated the sound of 21st century music, forced high fashion to adopt streetwear, and launched a multi-billion-dollar industrial design brand. To understand a legacy defined by massive creative output and catastrophic self-destruction, we must examine the engine that built this empire in the first place. In the early 2000s, the hip-hop industry was strictly regulated by the gangster rap archetype. Labels heavily favored artists who sold street credibility and criminal backgrounds. West was a middle-class kid from Chicago's South Side, raised by a college English professor. To the industry gatekeepers, he was an outsider with no clear path to the stage. He bypassed those gatekeepers through production. By speeding up soul samples into high-pitched, rhythmic hooks, he pioneered a style that elite artists like Jay-Z relied on to define their careers. But West refused to remain behind the scenes. With his debut, The College Dropout, he discarded gangster posturing to rap about minimum wage labor and organized religion, proving that a different archetype could dominate the charts. Then, following the death of his mother, he pivoted again. He stripped his sound down to the mechanical thud of the Roland TR-808 drum machine and buried his vocals in heavy autotune. This pivot toward emotional vulnerability birthed a new genre and allowed him to incubate a roster of future stars through his GOOD music label. By treating institutional boundaries as elastic rather than fixed, West established a pattern. He would enter a space, dismantle its rules, and force the industry to reorganize around him. He applied that same methodology to luxury fashion, an industry historically resistant to rappers who wanted to design rather than just endorse. He forced his way inside, interning at Fendi to learn the system, and leveraging footwear partnerships with Nike and Adidas to build the Yeezy empire. Soon, high-fashion runways were flooded with his muted earth tones and utilitarian silhouettes. To scale this aesthetic, he created the Donda Agency. It was a creative incubator designed to mentor a new generation of design leaders. The success of this incubator was undeniable. Alumni like Virgil Abloh would eventually take over as artistic director for Louis Vuitton, while others secured leading roles at major luxury houses like Givenchy. The Donda ecosystem proved his disruptive impulse could scale beyond music to physically restructure the leadership of the global design hierarchy.